So, a bit of a surprise video here, kind of last minute one. I was in Camden last week helping out a friend with her car, and she said to me, I've got an old bike sitting in the shed. And I said, oh right, I said, you know, what? Do you know what it is? And she said, no. She said, I've got nothing, just a basic amount of paperwork. She didn't even think she had the key, which is true, she didn't have the key. So, lucky enough the steering lock wasn't on. That makes life a bit easier. But, yeah, this is my second free bike as part of this channel. Now, this is a direct bike, the EB50 QT11. Not that that means much. It means it's a Chinese bike, very cheaply made. When they were first sold, they sold for around 700 quid, but that was a good 20 years ago. They were terrible. They're actually much better made now. They're stronger, they're a bit faster, they're a bit more solid, the parts are a bit better. So these actually are nice 50cc bikes for around the £300 to £500 mark. But as I said, on this bike at this stage, no keys at all, the seat's locked, the petrol's locked, can't turn it on. So the first thing I need to do is get it out, look at how much a lock set costs. I'm assuming it'll be about £35 to £50. This bike is not going to be a money maker at all. Someone's going to get this bike for almost exactly what I put into it, because, you know, a lock set at 50 quid, the carb needs cleaning. I assume it does. It's been sitting for a number of years. It's had one owner from new. I have to wreck all of this old stuff just to be able to put extra fuel in when I've cleaned the carb. So yeah, it will not be a particularly huge amount of money made on this bike. However, it will be a bike that is kept on the road as always, and someone should get a nice serviced bike in the long run. So we'll do our initial assessment. The exhaust looks good. Generally the panels are okay. Obviously excluding that front one. It looks like someone tried to steal it but didn't know how to. Pretty useless when you can't steal a Chinese bike. It looks very clean otherwise. I have no idea what this is. I wonder if there was a screen there at one point. Again, I have no ignition key. It's such a shame. Seats locked, petrol caps locked. I think I'm gonna have to drill out some of that. What's that? 2,585 kilometers. It's not bad at all. It's gone for a yellow, that panel. First thing I need to do, I think, pop the seat and see if there's a key under there. I mean, it's highly unlikely, but you never know. Second thing is, if there's not a key, drill all the locks so that I can at least switch it on, and see how much the lock set is. I will keep you all informed. So to open the seat, I used this flathead screwdriver in here, a pair of grips, and it turned the lock. Now I've already hit the mother load. We've got a booster in here. Wow, an AA booster. No idea how I actually charge it. I need some sort of AC adapter for there. I'm sure I can sort something out. So that's a good start. Oh no! It's not. It can't be. You wouldn't keep the ignition key under the seat. Nah. Kinda does look like it, but no, it's not. It doesn't slot in unless it needs some oil. Let me get some oil in there. And the other. So I'm going to remove all the screws on this front panel, see if we can get to the ignition. It up. There you go. So we're now ready to connect the bike up to power. It will be 2 of these wires, and then you press the electric start. Possibly red and black and white, but we'll see. However, the next thing we need to do is I need to bring my moped round for the battery, and we need to hook up the battery and see if we've got any electrics. I also need to try and barrel this in the same way I did the last one, by hammering in the screwdriver and turning it. All I need to do is get it loose and off. It doesn't matter then if it locks or not, as long as it slides back into place. I'll have a go on camera. That was never going to open anyway. Absolutely destroyed. I'll buy a new one. The fuel, funny enough, it's very rusty in there. The fuel, it does smell a bit stale. It does smell stale actually. Next step, strip the back of the bike. I will of course speed this up if I need to. So what's good about this so far? We can put fuel in the tank. I'm going to definitely drain the old fuel. It's perfect that there's a filter on there, that's very helpful. Pop the carb off, give it a clean. I may just fire it up beforehand. Oh, I'm in two minds. Popping it off and giving it a clean, I could show people exactly how we do it. May be worth doing that. I can see that the CDI is original and that the pink wire hasn't been cut. That's the restrictor wire. That means this bike's still running restricted, which is good, but it kind of only does 32 miles an hour. It just needs a little bit more. I always try and de-restrict these bikes because for safety, actually. I mean, it's not like de-restricting a Piaggio where you have to take stuff out of the variator. It's actually just a pink or purple wire on the CDI. You just cut it. So what's next? I need some fresh fuel in the can. I need a battery source. I need to drain this fuel out. Simple, popping that wire out and letting that flow out. And then what do I need to do? Charge the old battery, if there is one, which there is, and then run it. Oh, it's good that it's not connected actually, that means it could be saved. I'll chuck that on charge soon. So carb clean time. Now you saw that I took the bucket out. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10mm bolts. So that's all you need to do and slide the bucket out. Now from here, I'm not even going to disconnect any of the other stuff. I'm only disconnecting this part here and the part. So both the clamps are loosened now. Once you've done that, give the carb a spin like this. Exactly like that, back and forward. Just loosen it in its housing. Then I'll be popping the front out, working its way out. Sometimes you need to pull up, sometimes you need to pull back. But I'm gonna pop that out and then I'll show you where I am. There you go. Next challenge, these 3 screws. Depending on how this bike's been stored. Old fuel's tipping out, that's absolutely fine, that's perfect. Depending on how the carb's been stored, they might be solid or loose sometimes. In fact, regularly I have to get grips on them to loosen them up, but we'll see on this occasion. That one's fine, that one's fine, and that one's fine. We'll take these off completely and we won't lose them. They're really important, obviously. There's a lot of pressure on this carb, something's pushing it. It's interesting, I wonder what that is. It's still got the line on it, that's why. Okay, so this is where we are. This is your carb. This is your bowl down here. Now the bowl is clean enough. I'm not going to worry about that. I might spray a bit of brake cleaner in there just to wash it out. But the main focus now is these jets here. This one, the main jet, the one underneath it, and the idle jet. So to pop them out we can use grips on this one and we can use a flathead on the other one. Okay, so there you go. You see you've got these little holes here. They get gummed up, and then looking through it gets gummed up. I'm going to spray some carb cleaner in there. I'm not going to mess around too much. I'm just going to spray it in and then put it back through. That will be fine. It won't hurt to spray down into the holes, but we don't really need to at this stage. That doesn't need to be particularly tight. I'll just nip it up gently. That's fine. Now we'll get the idle jet taken out and cleaned. Same as before, unscrew it completely like normal. That's only hand tight anyway. And again, we just want to spray it through with the cleaner. Spray the holes directly if you've got them like this. Spray up the bottom and then down the top. And some up in that direction, but not lots. I'll nip that up. And that's fine. For a simple carb clean, that's absolutely fine. Again, I'm not going to mess with this. It's clean enough. Now, where is the suction? It's down into here. So we need the suction line here. What we need to do is we need to suck on this line to let the old fuel come out of the tank. Let's have a look. Okay, so the fuel filter itself is blocked. So nothing's going to flow from this. So if there's no fuel flowing when you suck on this pipe, then the filter's blocked and the tank is blocked. So the next step is to strip the back end off this bike now, to see if I can thoroughly clean the tank. Bit of a pain, but well worth doing. So I'm stripping the bike after all, which is fine. I'll just show you bit by bit what I'm working on and how we get this tank out. bit slow and boring. I'll come back when it's done. So all that's unbolted now. The tank's free and loose. I should be able to pull it up freely and tip out what's in it. It's very stale. What I'm going to do is use a little bit of fuel. I'm actually going to use a little bit of lemonade first. Actually, I'm going to flush it out. The acid within it. The acid within it helps clean it basically. Then I'll be doing the same with. So you put a bit of lemonade in. This works great with Coca-Cola. Now we'll see what comes out. Whoa. That was unbelievable. That was black. I'm going to go with lemonade again. Maybe sit it in for a few minutes. I'm going to shake it around and leave it a while. I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to leave it a few minutes to eat away. So this is 2 minutes later. Let's see how black this second load of water is. Hi, Chin. So I can see in the tank, it's looking a bit better. That was again really dark. I'm going to now do the same thing with, I'm first going to spray in lots of carb cleaner, lots of metal cleaner for a minute or two, just to make sure that bottom layer is okay and not thick and cruddy with rust. Then I'm going to top it up with unleaded for a few minutes. So the metal cleaner's in there now. I'm going to leave it a couple of minutes with the metal cleaner in. It's highly corrosive. And then I'm going to tip a little bit of unleaded in, slosh it around, leave it a couple more minutes, and it should be looking less black than it was. So there's now a mixture of metal cleaner and some unleaded in there. I'm going to leave it for a good 5 minutes, let it eat out the crap. Fuel is still not coming out of the tap, so I'm going to undo the tap once I release all this and see if the filter is cruddied, see if I can clean the tap. So this is the unleaded and metal cleaner tip. Let's see what colour it is. That was quite a bit better. I'm going to take off the tap. To be fair, that was only hand tight. It's definitely, let's see where are we. It's definitely bunged up and crudded. I don't think we can focus on that. The real problem here is the filter is stuck. Oh. That's in bad condition. Great. Pretty bunged up that. I'm going to use some carb cleaner on that, not the metal cleaner. The metal cleaner eats through it. Again, I'll use a bit of carb cleaner within the tap as well. Again, not metal cleaner. In fact, brake cleaner I'm going to use on it all, because that's gentler. These taps break so easily. They have a simple flap on the inside made out of plastic. If you put in through anything that warps the plastic, then it just lets the fluid through and constantly floods the carbs. I mean, the tap costs a few pounds, it's not the end of the world, but if it's savable, let's save it while we can. That will actually be fine now. Okay, the tap. Just try and get out some of the... Let's see if it's flowing. Very, very lightly. You can see. Ideally this would soak for a while, but I don't know if it's worth it. I don't know if we've got the time. It is flowing a little. I can see it coming out the top when I spray it in. Is it enough? I don't think it is. I'm not sure this will flow at all when I actually put it on. There's a lot of gunk in there. I can get it out with this Phillips. Okay, I can see the hole now, that's good. I just sucked that through. It didn't go into my mouth, but it should have come out of there really. Kinda didn't. See if I let this sit for a little while. It's weird when I sucked it through, it should have sprouted out of there. Oh god, it's gone in again and got lost. I think the tap is probably okay now. I'm kind of just playing now. Let's see if it sprays through more from the other side, more than it did. Ah, look at that. Big difference. There to clean it out. So at this stage, the tempting thing would be to bolt it all back down, make it all look nice again, put all the carb on and try and fire it up. You'd be really silly to do that. I'm not bolting the tank down at all. I'm going to connect the carb back together, push it back in. The carb's clean. I'm going to check that there's fuel flowing to the carb, and I'm going to try and fire it up exactly like this. There's absolutely no point going any further at this stage. So the carb bowl goes back on. It's very simple. However, when you torque down these screws, you do them gently one at a time, and you go in a triangular motion because there's a gasket on it. You don't tighten one down fully and then the others. That doesn't work. You do tiny bits each and you keep going round in a circle. That's absolutely fine. So we need this out the way. Tighten it up. And the front is okay actually. Just work it in as far as you can without breaking anything. Actually, nope, I'm not going to connect it yet. I'm going to put unleaded in and that's probably 2.5 litres in there. I'm going to test the suction again and we'll see if any unleaded comes through. Perfect. So you can see that all that effort was well worth it in the long run. I can see the fuel in the filter. The battery to the cables from my Alright. Black and red seems to be the key players here. Although if you heard the starting motor didn't actually spin. So, let's see, we might have to kick it. I believe the electrics are on now. The horn at least works, I think. I'll check some of the indicators and stuff. So this is genuinely it. This is going to be its first start up in a long time. So I'm going to keep cranking it over and see what we get. I always say it's unlikely, but it is unlikely. I haven't done enough to this bike at this stage, but you never know. I'm going to check it fires. If it does fire, I'm going to stop it immediately, check all the oils, and then if the oils are fine, I'll be letting it sit and idle for a few minutes to kind of loosen it all up. I mean, that's started. That is unbelievable. I always say I'm shocked when these bikes start, but I didn't expect this one to, with all the crap in the tank and the carb, and it been sitting so long. I'm shocked. I'm going to switch it off and check the oil before I carry on. As you can see by mess on the floor, I did top up the oil. It was low, not stupidly low, dangerously low, just low. So I've topped that up. I think the next step is to idle it for a couple of minutes. The choke went off earlier and it cut out, so I want it to idle. I'm going to set the revs a little bit high. Let it idle a couple of minutes, let it loosen itself up, and then we'll have some idea of kind of how reliable it is. I'm going to give it a couple of minutes like that, slightly higher revs. That will really give us an idea of what's going on. If kind of at this stage that part's all okay, then I'll be looking at getting the back end all back together for now, because the last bits needed are front end. It needs a new front panel. The battery at home didn't show any lights at all, which means it's probably dead, although sometimes if you leave it on a while it sorts itself out. It probably needs a new battery. That's another reason why this bike will never make you any particular money. I mean, I got this for free, so I thought why not save it. But if you buy these bikes, you'd have to get them cheap, 50 quid, 100 quid max. You will not make money on them. They're worth 300 to 400. My ones will be worth 300 to 400 because I fully service them. I'll fully service this bike and make sure it's all safe and working. And that sometimes costs me more than I get out of it. So let's leave it idle a minute or two, see what's going on, and then I'll start throwing the back end on. Do you know what? The bike sounds fine, absolutely fine. Most things are working on it. The front headlight's not working, and that could simply be a bulb. It could also be where the wiring's wrong at the front. I will be buying a new switch for the front, so that's fine, as in a new key set. So I'm going to start putting the back end together so that it becomes a bike again at this stage. It sounds great. It sounds great. I think I'll de-restrict it. I'll cut the purple wire and get that sorted, because I know at the moment it kind of maxes out at 30, and it just needs a few more mile an hour, 35 even. It just has to be a little bit faster just for safety. So I'm going to start putting it back together, and I'll in fact I'll leave you running while I do bits of it. May as well. This bit's a bit long. I'll catch you up bit by bit as I go along. So at this stage, do as much cleaning as you can, because at some point you're going to need to thoroughly clean this bike. If you do loads now, it saves you in the long run. Also makes the bike look more loved. So the next thing to do is I'm going to fire it up and take it for a little spin. I've got to put some air in the tyres. It proper looks stolen, so I'm going to get arrested. All I'm literally going to do now is put some air in the tyres and just take it up and down the road. I'll leave the camera on from here as always, so you can see, and I'll let you know it's kind of top speed. I've left the CDI at the moment as it is. So tyre pump, and then test ride. So 32 psi. Always the way, just before a test ride, it doesn't start. I believe just before test riding it that it's lost spark. So I need to consider now what's changed It's definitely got fuel in it, I've checked. It's got compression, we've seen it running. I have pulled the spark plug and I can't see a spark, so it's not sparking. My concern is that it's the hot wiring rather than a problem with the stator or the CDI or the coil itself. So not sure. I'm gonna have a little look at the coil. I've got spares anyway, I can always chuck one on and see if that helps. So the coil wires, they came off a bit weird. They snapped off their plates and all I did was pull on this rubber, so it may be that one of these had come loose and we lost a spark. For now I'm gonna cut these back, shred them and wire them direct to here with some insulation tape. That's the most solid way to do it at this point, and then check if spark has come back. If spark has come back, then that should be a good solid fix. I'm wondering if when I put the bucket in it pulled on it or leaned on it or something and caused the problems, but let's see if that was the problem first. So I don't know, I'm hoping my wiring did the trick. It worked before, so it should be fine. We're looking for spark now. I can see spark, definitely. So pushing this back in, or you know, screwing it back in. It should fire up immediately. Absolutely no reason why not. And then I'll be careful putting the bucket in this time and secure the wires as best as I can. No reason now why this shouldn't just fire up. The issue now, definitely has spark backup, we saw it. The issue now will be that it's flooded. So I'm going to give it a minute, kick it over a few times without the power supply to see if I can clean out the engine and carb, and then fire it up. I believe it's unflooded now, it should fire up. The idle is low. Oh, shows you, doesn't it, when you put these bikes back together, the wires are so fragile. A tiny little knock, and if I didn't pull that rubber off the surround, you'd have never known that one of the wires had come loose. So you really have to look into everything. The more you work on these bikes, the more you know what it's likely to be. I know I have a spare CDI in the garage. I know I have a spare coil. I tend to keep a spare all the time just in case something like this happens. It's great for testing faults out. I would have just thrown on the spare CDI, wired it up and fired it up just to check. So I'm going to put this bike back together again and see if we can get a basic test ride. So I'm going to test ride the bike like this now. I'm going to leave the front panel off because I haven't cut the CDI wire yet, the purple one. So I am not sure if it's restricted at its 30 mile an hour or something silly. I'm going to set you up here so you can see my ride, not that it's particularly fast. Already the front brake is making a weird noise. Couple of things there. There's a panel on the bottom sticking down. Where is it? Down there, that needs bolting up. It's scraping the floor. I can do that. About 28 mile an hour. It's ridiculous. I think I'm going to have to cut that purple wire just to get a little bit more out of it. It's worth doing. So I need to bolt up that bottom. Panel and cut that wire. We should be looking at 35 then. I'm a bit, I can't really go too fast because I don't want the wires coming loose and stuff like that, and there's no battery on it. Still no front light, I believe. Oh! There's a front light now, and the high beam. Result, it just needed waking up. This bike, once the new lock set is on, will actually just pass an MOT, I'm sure. And it cut itself out, did it? So that's the bike for today. It's actually been a real fun project. The majority of the work's done. I need to see if the old battery works or get a new one. I need to get a new front panel, they're 30 quid. I need to get a lock set all round. That should be 35 to 50 pounds. And then it needs an MOT. Nice little project that. I'm pleased. I'll keep you updated.